Today, I'm joined by Rachel Malenko with 2020 Seed Labs. We're talking about Fusarium, which has been on the rise in the Lloydminster area over the past few years. Now, Rachel, I know most of the crop from this year is already in the bin. So looking forward to the 2021 season, what are some preventative measures that farmers can take to maybe help protect their fields a little bit?
So the number one thing is right now, farmers and growers to get their seed tested for a Fusarium infection to know if they have it. And since it's been deregulated as a pest in Alberta, it's really up to the industry and to individual farmers to assess their risk on their own and as an industry in general to reduce the spread of it. So if you take a look at the maps that 2020 Seed Labs produces, the Fusarium graminearum infection map, that's updated monthly. And we actually have a subscription service where we send those updated maps by email. It's called the incubator. So you can actually sign up for that by contacting myself, Rachel, or on our website. And if you're coming from provincial counties where Fusarium graminearum is not already established, so we're thinking about northern Alberta counties or sometimes certain areas in the foothills, they haven't, graminearum hasn't really been established there. We recommend getting a DNA Fusarium test opposed to the traditional plate test because this is a quicker turnaround time for results and it's a bit more sensitive as well. So you'll get your results. And if you do end up having a positive DNA result on that, then we also recommend continuing on to the plate method because that will actually give you your percent infection. So then that result, your percent of Fusarium graminearum infection is really going to drive what your best management practices are going to be for reducing that spread in your own fields and in other growers' fields if you're going to be selling that seed lot. So if you're coming from counties where definitely Fusarium has been established, so basically everywhere in Alberta besides some northern and certain counties as well, where it hasn't been established yet in those production areas, we definitely recommend if you know that there may be a chance of infection on your seed to immediately get that plate test because that will determine your percent infection. Because you already know that there may be a chance that you have it. So once you know your infection, there's a couple different steps that you can take to manage it. So definitely using a seed treatment is step number one before spring planting. Using a diverse and long crop rotation. I know this is repeated for almost every disease, but there's a reason for it, and it is because it does really, really help to drive that reduction of disease and spread of Fusarium graminearum. So we're thinking a 2 to 3 year break from your main host crops. So we're thinking about cereals and even corn drives some of that Fusarium graminearum spread. So educate growers on that kind of crop rotation. There's Fusarium head blight resistant varieties on the market right now. So that could also be an option if you're thinking about purchasing a new seed lot and thinking about future varieties.
So if they find that Fusarium is already in their fields, what can they do?
If you are in that production area where Fusarium is quite a big risk to your field, we want to be thinking about also spraying fungicide at head timing for Fusarium head blight. And this is kind of where our best management practices come in. So we do offer the Spornado spore catcher service. So it's a passive spore catcher and it will be placed in your wheat field. And after a few days around your fungicide timing, like between bolting to head timing, we can take the cassette out of the Spornado and analyze it at our lab for the detection of Fusarium spores. And that result is really going to help farmers make the decision on whether to spray or whether or not to spray at head timing, and then also help time the application as well. So that's where some of the other services that we offer can really help managing this disease. And then also another thing is to keep educated on the tracking and spreading of Fusarium in Alberta. So that's where, again, our maps and our data from the lab can really help producers in those areas.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.